All right, whoever's ready.
Pete, what are your thoughts just on third down offense and just kind of the red zone, just what we've seen over the past couple of weeks? And
Yeah, I think obviously the numbers have been better. I just think I would say last week when you go back to the third down numbers, 50% would tell you winning performance, and yet some of those third downs that we didn't convert came early in drives. So I think that, again, getting ourselves in manageable positions to continue to be successful. And I thought as far as the red zone, some guys made some tough plays. It was nice to see.
Pete, it seems like you guys haven't busted like a lot of the explosive type runs this year. Is there like a consistent reason for that, do you think?
I think it takes all 11. So I think, again, it's us as coaches making sure that when those opportunities arise that we take advantage of those and making sure we're putting our players in the right positions to get those. But, again, that's something that needs to be better.
I was going to ask just about starting off with, a typical run on 1st and 10 to get ahead of the chains. Has it been a source of frustration? That it feels like a lot of times those are zeros, ones that kind of get a drive off to a slow start.
Yeah, I think it's it's things that we've talked about as a staff and trying to just make sure that, again, we're putting our players in the best position to try to avoid the 2nd and 9s, and then that also kind of limits a little bit more, I guess, maybe what you're doing on 2nd down as far as calls. Maybe takes away some of the play actions or something, if they're going to be sinking in coverage. But I think, again, it's the message is, hey, we got to be efficient on 1st and 2nd down and get ourselves into manageable thirds.
Pete, as you guys have gotten into the schedule a little bit, like if you had to define the identity of the offenses, is that kind of clarified, and what would it be?
I think the players feel pretty good about the schemes, and I think there's a lot of that coming from communication with those guys as well as to the things that they like, the things that how can we sometimes we talk about reducing the volume, things like that. But I think there's been a lot of great discussion as we've gone along and kind of learned each other, and I think things are going in the right direction.
When a team blitzes as much as Minnesota does, what's the challenge there, and what do they do well with those blitzes?
Well, I think they create a lot of different personnel groupings, and when you talk about their pressure package, that's their you would say that's their base plan, and so they create a lot of different looks with different personnel packages, and there's also a lot of disguises that they'll present that might put you in some max protections, and then all of a sudden guys are dropping out. So believe me, their pressure package creates a lot of things, a lot of time this week spent on those as an offensive staff, and just kind of making sure we're all on the same page.
What do you think y'all? How would you kind of assess y'all's ball security this year? It seems like maybe a little bit of an improvement over last year.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things. If you look back at the numbers last year compared to where we're at this year, it's been a lot better. We're taking care of the ball. I think the quarterback's making good decisions, being smart with the ball, and obviously I think that Joel Thomas, I think he does a great job with those guys, regardless of what position it is, whether he's talking to the running backs, receivers, tight ends, anybody that might touch the ball. And I think just overall, again, there's always been an emphasis on it, but I think that our guys are doing a great job, and I think the message is preached every week that's going to be the number one reason why we get beat.
I had something that I lost it.
Okay.
Alvin played less than half the snaps in this last game. What kind of goes into that? Just when he plays, when he doesn't.
Yeah, I think that I think you can come out of any game and you come out and you're like, would have been nice to get him more snaps or more touches, or whether it's the run game or the pass game. I think it was just sometimes that's just the way the game plays out. It wasn't by design. Obviously he's a big part of what we do. We want him on the field, and hopefully situations like that. But then there's a lot of guys that we want to get out there and get the ball in their hands.
And what has Jamal brought to just as far as his blocking?
Yeah, I think when you look at not only his blocking and protection, his blocking in the run game, he had some opportunities, for lead blocking for Taysom, and he's been physical, just like his running style. I think he's been outstanding, and I would say coming away from the last few games, just really, praising his the job that he's doing, and he's such a team guy, and he'll do whatever's best for the team, and he's not willing to, or he's willing to put his body in there and make some sacrifices.
Is that kind of what you all expected?
I mean, he's got a great attitude. He's always got energy. He brings a lot of juice, and so I think that he's a great team guy, real positive.
Getting back to Alvin, I know y'all can't predict how many plays you're going to get or the down and distance, but when you game plan, do you have a ballpark figure in mind based on matchups, how much Alvin and Mike and Chris should get the ball?
I think you go into every game with the game as you're putting the plan together, saying, hey, make sure we have enough touches for Alvin, enough touches for Mike, and everybody. And then sometimes that's just a matter of what plays get called. And obviously Taysom had a little bit higher volume last week, or at least the number of carries. But I think that, again, it's just what gets called, I think. And it's not like it's any less or any more, usually during the week.
Jimmy Graham was a healthy scratch last Sunday. Is there maybe a reason why that hasn't worked out as what you guys expected when you brought him in training camp?
I would say this. I think Jimmy's got a great attitude. We love him. I think he's, he's been a pleasant, just to have, and he knows what it was like when we were rolling back in the day. And so I think he's been great for the team, for the room, and I think that the one thing he knows is it's a long season. His opportunities are going to come.
Is it just a matter of there's so many guys to get the ball to, so much talent right now around?
Yeah, I think
it's hard to find reps for him?
I think there's a lot that goes into that as far as maybe the number you're dressing at a certain position. There's just whatever. Those would probably be better our questions for, the head coach as far as the numbers that maybe we're dressing or what positions. But I think that again, he's had a great attitude, and he's a pro. And so his message to us is always, hey, when my number's called, I'll be ready.
With Adam coming back, what does that mean for Colin? Still expect him in?
Well, good question. We'll get the short yardage goal line tonight. So.
Pete, is there any correlation with how quickly you guys get from huddle to snap, in and out of the huddle to the snap? Can you guys go faster? Is there more success? Is there any correlation there?
I think that there's a mix of it a little bit. I think we kind of hit a lull in that third quarter last week, and then it was like, okay, let's get a little tempo going. And then we got a couple plays with Derek at the line, and to get a little tempo going, and then quickly he got us 2 good plays, and then we kind of jumped back into some Taysom run here. But I think that it's just there's sometimes in the game where you're like, hey, you know what, we got to get something going. Let's get it, or you might just decide to do it. But I think that both situations can come up.
Is there any target amount of time for how long you want to be in a huddle? Get from the huddle to the line of scrimmage.
I think the faster you can break the huddle, in fact, we would take as fast as you can get to the line of scrimmage. But sometimes the play call might be a little bit longer. You're changing personnel groupings, and so it might take a couple extra seconds. But you prefer to get to the line of scrimmage as soon as possible.
What are the advantages you get when you get there as quickly?
Well, I think if you can get there, the quicker you get there, either you're stressing the defense with tempo, or maybe it's the quarterback being able to look at the defense a little bit longer, more time to see what the look is, and maybe get us in a different play. So there's obviously advantages. I think tempo has always been one of the things that, when we got our tempo going around here, it's been a positive. Okay.
Thanks, Pete.
All right. See you later.
Thanks, Pete.
All right.